Now that you're in the state of Ihram, you're now in a sanctified state. Now you're subject to a number of prohibitions. Unintentional things are forgiven. The Prophet ﷺ says, أَعْذَرَ اللَّهُ لِأُمَّتِي الْخَطَأ وَالنِّسْيَانُ وَاسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ, that a person will be forgiven for what they do out of ignorance, out of forgetfulness, or under compulsion. So a lot of times, a lot of these things that you're going to see here, you forget that you're in a state of ihram and you do them. Or you're combing your hair, you're combing your beard too hard, and some hairs fall out, whatever happens, and a person starts to panic. And a lot of people react in different ways. Many people, what they do in Umrah or Hajj is that they just keep on doing sacrifices, because if I just keep on doing, I just want to make sure I don't mess up. So every time I unintentionally do something or I forget something, or some sheikh said that I might have just violated ihram, I'm just going to go offer a sacrifice. And if there's an app, then you're just murdering sheep on your app on a consistent basis. Like, oops, sorry, another one. Don't have that su'u dhann in Allah. Don't think bad of Allah, okay? So if you unintentionally do something or you forget, don't worry about it, inshallah ta'ala. You simply proceed. The things that you cannot do intentionally, all right? These are what we're talking about here. So for men only, to wear sewn clothes that fit any part of your body, that fit any limbs of your body. What that means is that when you wear an ihram, it's not fitted to any part of your body, right? It's a garment or it's a towel that you're wearing over yourself. But to wear a shirt is fitted to you, okay? To wear socks is fitted to your limbs. So makhit here particularly refers to something that's sewn and something that's fitted to your limbs. This is obviously only for men. So, for example, underwear would fall into that prohibition. Underwear is okay though for someone that has urinary incontinence or something of that sort. But otherwise, it falls under that prohibition. So a person will only be in their ihram. Blankets are permissible then, right? Because blankets are not fitted to any part of your body, right? Blankets will be worn over you. Or especially if it gets cold in the nighttime. Sometimes in Mina it gets cold at night. For some reason it'll get cold, and especially the way that the ACs are, they're blowing on half. So half of the tent is really cold and half of the tent's really hot, depending on where you're positioned and where the AC is blowing on you. So it's okay to wrap yourself in blankets, inshallah ta'ala, or anything of that sort, because it doesn't fall under the category of clothes. Umbrellas are fine, watches are fine, rings are fine, identification tags are fine, stitch belts are fine, because those don't fit any part of your body in particular. Sandals or slippers that have some stitching on them, they're fine, as long as they don't cover your ankle to where they fit your feet like shoes. They're all fine, inshallah ta'ala. All of those don't fall under the category of makhit. Okay? If a person has to wear, some sort of, if a person has to wrap their ankle because they have some sort of sprain or what, that's fine, inshallah ta'ala. If you're going to wear a shoe bag or some sort of backpack, that's fine. All of those do not fall under the category of makhit. Now let's say that someone, violates this, then what's due upon them? A sacrifice. So let's say that, particularly with the men, someone says, I'm going to wear my underwear and I'm going to, then you would offer a sacrifice in that place. If a person had to wear socks, let's say, because they have a wound, or if a person had some sort of need to wear something, if they need to do so, if they need to do so, then they're not in trouble if they need to do so. Okay, so if something needs to be worn for some sort of need, then it's not a problem, inshallah ta'ala. But if something is being worn just because, then it is going to be an issue, and obviously you need to offer a sacrifice. But even if a person is doing something out of need, if they want to offer the sacrifice, inshallah ta'ala, just to be on the safe side, that's fine as well. Number 2 is cutting or plucking hair. So this is for men and women. that this requires a sacrifice. That does not include unintentional shedding through comb, right? If you're combing. This happens a lot. People start flipping out because a few hairs might have fallen. Obviously, you should, try not to be too rough when you're combing your hair, you're combing your beard, because you don't want hairs to fall out. But if they do, it's not a problem, inshallah ta'ala, if it's just unintentional. Clipping nails for men and women requires a sacrifice. Now, what if you break a nail by accident? Or what if you're a nail biter, and you forget at some point, and you catch yourself biting your nails in ihram? Do you need to go and offer a sacrifice? No, because it was unintentional, it was done out of forgetfulness, it was done out of ignorance, by accident, whatever it may be. But to purposely cut the nails or trim the nails would require a sacrifice. For sisters, covering your face with niqab in particular. Now, this is a difference of opinion amongst the scholars. Why? Because Aisha radiallahu anha mentioned that the women uncovered their faces, that some of the women uncovered their faces. Those that traditionally covered their faces, they uncovered their faces in Hajj. But when people, when they found that it was crowded, or when there were riders passing by, then they covered their faces. So some of the scholars said that if a woman wears niqab, then instead of wearing the niqab here, she could wear something that covers her face, like something like a veil that would cover her face, if she wanted to do that. But otherwise, it is prohibited. Could someone, one of the brothers, inshallah, talk to the kids, inshallah? Uthman, you want to just, please don't hurt them, all right? But just if you can. All right, so for a woman that, generally speaking, covering the face is prohibited during the Hajj for women as well. But again, if it's something that a woman does, she practices niqab, she wants to cover her face because of the crowd and things of that sort, then inshallah ta'ala there's no penalty for her. A lot of people there's a difference of opinion on what touching the face here means. So you'll see some sisters that wear niqab, they'll wear a baseball cap or something of that sort, and then there's a veil that's coming outwards. Allah knows best, but that's not something that would be necessary in that case. So a person can wear something, can simply draw something over their face if they really wanted to practice that, inshallah ta'ala. That was quick, man. You did good, mashallah. All right. A person can continue to cover their face if they wanted to, inshallah, just to fulfill that practice that they do otherwise. Now, what about wearing the mask? For sanitary purposes. Does that fall under the ruling of niqab for a brother or a sister? What do you guys think? No. I personally, not only do I think it's permissible, I recommend it. All right, so I recommend if a person wants to wear a mask in ihram, outside of ihram, for sanitary purposes, there are a lot of things floating around over there. People coughing all over you and all types of things, and it's very easy to get sick. So if a person wants to wear a mask for sanitary reasons, it's fine for men and for women, inshallah ta'ala, and it does not require a sacrifice. Okay? Covering your head, for men and women or just for men? For men requires a sacrifice. Okay, so you can't cover your head while you're in ihram. Let's say that you had your blanket, and just in a moment of forgetfulness, you put your blanket over your head. Don't panic. Just put your blanket down. But you can't cover your head during Hajj. They have this new creative idea, which is to put like a cap that has like an umbrella, like a mini umbrella. Some of you might have seen it. It looks really interesting, but it does fall under the category of covering the head. So just because the umbrella is a little bit off, doesn't mean that it's not a hat. So you can't cover your head. For brothers, you cannot cover your head during ihram. Wearing any type of cologne or perfume would require a sacrifice as well. So any type of scent. Showers are still okay. You can take as many showers as you want in ihram. You just can't use scented, perfume or whatever it may be, or cologne in that situation. What about perfumed soap? Is perfumed soap, a violation of ihram? Okay, it's one of those questionable things, so it's better to avoid. To be honest with you, I personally don't view it as a violation, but it's still better to avoid because it's likened to cologne or perfume or things of that sort. But if a person went into a bathroom and they forgot, whatever it is, they used some perfume soap or some scented soap, and then they realized that it was scented, you don't have to panic and you don't have to scream or anything like that. It's okay, inshallah ta'ala, just move on. There is unscented soap, there's unscented deodorant, there's unscented all types of things, inshallah. You could use those things. And perfume soap or scented soap simply falls into the doubtful things that it's better to avoid, inshallah ta'ala. Kissing or touching the spouse, touching your spouse provocatively requires obviously major istighfar. It is a violation in ihram. Some scholars would say it requires a sacrifice. Obviously, if you can't kiss your spouse, then you also can't kiss random people in ihram. So please, keep your hands to yourself and don't kiss anybody else as well, provocatively while you're in your ihram. Engaging in intimacy with the spouse would invalidate a person's hajj altogether. Okay? Believe it or not, it's happened. All right? I've had it happen before where we had a very interesting situation. All right? But, make sure that you're out of ihram, even with the umrah. What ends up happening, a lot of times couples, go to, so I personally, my package is usually known as the honeymoon. We usually have the honeymoon hajj because we got a bunch of young couples that are, holding hands and stuff like that, even while they're romantically throwing rocks at the jamarats and shayateen, sharing the moment and taking selfies and, enjoying the process, whatever it may be. But what ends up happening is that a lot of times we drive into Mecca and, before the couple would finish Umrah, it's not frequent, but it's happened, where they'd engage in intimacy and then they come out and they're like, what do I do now? And it's like, well, you should have thought about that, before you finished before you did that, before you violated your ihram. So obviously, that's something that's prohibited during the ihram. You won't really have to worry about it during the Hajj ihram because there are no hotels anyway, but during the Umrah ihram, it does become an issue. Entering into a marriage contract is also not allowed in ihram. So if you see someone that you like and you decide to go into a nikah, you can't do that during your ihram, all right? Hunting, if you decide to hunt in ihram, that also violates your ihram. So the sacrifice for hunting is that an animal like that which you hunted would be given as a sacrifice. What about insects? Can I kill insects in ihram? Yes. Okay? You don't have to, if you've got a spider on you, if you've got something that's biting you, you don't have to let it go because it's ihram. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned things that could be killed, harmful things that could be killed while a person is in ihram. And he said ﷺ in a hadith about the crow, the kite, the scorpion, the mouse, and a ferocious dog. So the scholars extended beyond that as well, obviously, when it comes to insects and snakes and things that are harmful. Those things could all be killed in ihram. Scented insect repellents would be not permissible. So I want to clarify here because scented would be something that would have a strong smell to it. That would be an issue during the ihram. Cutting down trees, if anybody likes to cut down trees for some reason, cutting down trees in the sacred precinct also requires a sacrifice. So please don't get married, cut down trees, or hunt while you're in your ihram. I've never had to deal with hunting or cutting down trees. There aren't many trees anyway.